just want to say thank you very much to everyone out there with this Q&A session and all the interest that we've had and the good questions we've had. I just want to say thank you for just keeping coming. Appreciate it.
I've noticed a lot of popular diesel YouTubers are favoring the competition. What can the FASS team do to change their minds and show that the FASS is a superior product?
Well, a lot of that with the YouTubers, honestly, that all comes down to sponsorships and whoever they're getting money from and free systems from. That obviously doesn't mean they're going after the highest quality product. Just whatever they can get the sponsorship deal on and get the system for free.
And you just told me about a story of a YouTuber that went out, bought his FASS, but AirDog got hold of him.
Yep. Yeah, it's a C10 Chevy build. I want to say it's a twin turbo Duramax. I know it's a Duramax, but they're either twins or a big single. But anyways, he had a FASS system that he purchased for it because he, purchased the better product to put on there. But a sponsorship deal came along from the competitor, and of course, where the money's coming. That's right. That's right.
Jake, come on over here.
Yeah, so I would say on the sponsorship side, Josh said it perfectly. It's a complicated ordeal in the sense that a lot of these guys, they're building cool stuff and they're doing so on a pretty restricted budget. I mean, YouTube is not an easy business. So of course, if money comes along, if there's a contract offered, they're going to take it, and we understand that.
But just like that one YouTuber bought a FASS and put it to the side because he got money somewhere else.
That's right, and it's no different than your favorite basketball star wearing Nikes. They may or may not like Nike. They may or may not like Under Armour.
I won't wear Nike after Kaepernick crap.
That's right, but it comes down to it's a transaction.
Was that political again?
I don't know, but it's our video.
It is, but you know what? Here's another thing. I was just talking with that one of our outside reps. And I was talking to him about going out and seeing they go out and see 5 to 7 dealers a day. We have 4 teams doing that. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of where they're running into dealers that are supporting our competition. So I'm like, what is this? And it was the same way. I've run into them here and there, but it seems like your local shop. I dare you to go to your local shops and ask them what they're pushing, because here's the problem. We push quality, 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 quality. Okay? That's it. My name's on it. And I brought this up to one of the big companies out there. They have magazines out there. They're big known Summit. I don't know. Okay. But I told them where they're going to save money. They're going to be on their phone troubleshooting. Okay. And having broken systems down like that. Yes, we have a failure rate that's well below 1.5%. Okay. It's low. It's extremely low with the Signature Series. And here's the problem. When they don't want those parts to come back. So they're going to put the highest quality on there. If the price is somewhat comparable and everything, they're going to put the highest quality on there so they don't have to have their personnel changing out systems. Okay, so I think we dominate. I'm pretty sure of it, seeing all the calls that we make and everything, that we dominate the shops that are putting them on, and they have to fix it if they put them on and they fail. So that's our answer.
So I have a 1969 Ford F-250 with a bone stock 1989 12-valve Cummins stock VP pump, and I've been considering a FASS system. So, what would you recommend?
Wait, stock 89 with a VP or VE?
VE?
VP.
Oh, it should be VE pump on an 89 12-valve.
Yes.
Okay.
Would be the rotary mechanical pump.
But there's still the same pressure.
Right.
So,
yes. If you're keeping stock horsepower or anything up to 600 horsepower, a 100-gallon-per-hour system is going to supply you with more than enough fuel. If you ever plan on going above 600, it's a good idea to just go ahead and upgrade to that 165-gallon-per-hour.
And that's probably what I would do. Just do the 165 because he has a 69 with an 89. He likes to play.
That's right.
So just do a 165 and you'll be good to go.
How often should you change filters, and does the XL version of your filters change that interval?
Yes to the extended version.
Yep.
And we usually say 20 to 30,000 miles with good fuel. You could go 100,000 miles with great fuel, or you could go 10 miles with horrible fuel. A gauge will tell you when to go, but you have a more in-depth answer for this one also.
Yes, so that again, what you mentioned, it all depends on fuel quality. Now, I personally still do recommend the 20 to 30,000 miles, even with the extended length filters, to just be on the safe side. It's not going to hurt to always make sure you have good filters on there, and supplying your fuel system obviously with the, purest diesel fuel possible.
And if you want to get full use of those filters, get a good fuel pressure gauge. That'll tell you everything.
That's right.
Not a Glow Pro.
Yes, yeah, we get lots of calls into our technical service department. Hey, my fuel pressure's way off. Well, you put a good autometer gauge on there, and turns out the fast pressure is exactly where it needs to be. So,
do you have specific install instructions for a FASS system on a CAT 3406B?
this would be a good one for you.
Well, this is one of the great things, put a 165 Industrial Series on there. And with the Industrial Series, all we're doing now is we're taking out the primary filter, putting the FASS in there. We take the return line now, it's a low volume return, and we can tap it in with your stock, your existing return line. You don't have to have a dedicated line. So it's straightforward, and it's almost as simple as that. And if you need to, give our tech department a call and look at our instructions now, and because you just rewrote the instructions, so it's back on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We do have instructions, obviously, for each of our Industrial Series systems. Right. Now, coming down to engine specific, because the same engine can be used in different trucks, whether that be different brands or different chassis configurations. So the fuel line setups can be a bit different. So the instructions aren't going to cater to each individual truck, but it's going to send you in the right direction and show you exactly what to do.
Almost as easy as what I just stated, though, with the return with the Industrial Series.
Exactly.
So
super simple.
there you go. That B model cat is one of our highest horsepower gains and highest fuel mileage gains. We've seen 2 gears on the hills that you'll pick up, and I'm not guaranteeing fuel mileage, but usually on those about 7 to 9 tenths of a mile per gallon. It'll bring the clatter noise down. You'll hear more of the whistle of the turbo. It does great on A, B's, and C's. It does good on all of them. There's little gains here where might not be as much here on one engine and vice versa. But we'll make your injection pump last long, but those things already last 3/4 million miles. So, but we'll make it even last longer if you're measuring.
I recently bought a FASS system, part number TS-D10-140G. I have everything I need but hoses and fittings. Do you have a kit available? It's going on my 1997 Cummins.
Just give our technical service department a call, and they can set you up with all of the fittings and all of the fuel line you need to get it installed on your truck.
I have a tuned 6.7 liter Power Stroke. Which system would you recommend? And does that system change for an emissions intact truck?
If it's emissions intact, they can't be really outrunning the 140, could they?
No, I don't believe so. 140 is going to be good for 700 wheel horsepower and maybe even a bit more.
Yeah.
So
that's conservative.
Exactly.
And what's nice about the 140 and having the emissions and everything on there, your truck's quiet. Guess what? Standing next to your truck with the engine off, I can barely hear my 140 on mine.
Right.
So with the engine running, you won't hear it. And that's we have it over torqued and everything. So if you're running in cold weather, your filter's getting dirty, you're not going to cut the life of that motor down.
Right.
So.
Why do some people run dual FASS systems?
Bragging rights.
Yeah. Well, it does look cool too. But the reason you would run dual FASS systems.
Keep talking, Josh.
The reason somebody might run dual FASS systems, some of these high performance, high horsepower applications will be running up to 3 or 4, in some instances, CP3s. So when you need that additional fuel flow that one single 290 can't handle, then you will want to run 2 systems. Or our new competition series system, this has 2 FASS motors on 1 filter base. So it's going to be 1 set of filters and 1 set of lines to simplify the installation, reduce cost, and of course reduce the weight. They're going to be available in flow rates up to 540 gallons per hour. They're going to come with a fully adjustable regulator.
What's also nice about this is you're going to be able to run one on a Hobbs switch or whatever, where it's boost activated. So you can run on one pump up to 5, 10, 15, 20 PSI.
Yep.
When you need it, then the other one will kick on. And it looks cool.
Yeah.
Do your 260 gallon per hour systems actually flow 260 gallons per hour, or are they just capable of that?
You know, in the beginning, people didn't want to let, what the duration of the lobes were, the cams were, and all that. I'm like, how do you measure what you have And if you're going up, if you're building more power, how do you know what you have? Because people wanted to keep their cam lobes private and everything. From the beginning, I did not do our flows on mineral spirits and free flow like our competition. I always did it on diesel fuel, about 70 degrees, with clean filters at that pressure of the application. So if we have it going on an 07 Dodge, that is pumping that much flow at that pressure for that truck, that many gallons per hour.
Exactly.
If it's going on a 12 valve, it's going on the 3406E, a DD15, that's diesel fuel at that application pressure. Our competition does not do that.
Right.
I live in Colorado. Will the FASS fuel system cause issues or freeze in the winter?
Absolutely not causes issues. And we have two different electric heater options. We have a high output heater disc, which goes right above the particulate filter, and we have two electric heater probes. You can install one or one in each electric heater probe port. They will power on when the fuel drops to 34 degrees, thaw that fuel out, prevent it from gelling, and automatically power off when the fuel reaches an optimal temperature. It's going to give you the ultimate cold weather performance and reliability.
Let me tell you this, if you would freeze up with this, you would have frozen up long before that with a stock filter system or any competitor that out there. Jake, do you still have that video I did up in Canada? Let's show that, because that was actually measuring and everything. I've started at 17 below zero, straight number 2 fuel, nothing cut, and I've ran to 40 below. And that video is about 30 below. But when I was just out, just operating, I've ran to 40 below with no additives.
What systems do you offer for the LB7 Duramax?
The system we would recommend would be our Signature Series system, and they are available in flow rates from 100 gallons per hour all the way up to 290 gallons per hour for your LB7.
But if you're going to go way overboard, we have up to 540.
I'm currently running one of your 165 gallon per hour systems on my 2001 Cummins. If I upgrade to a higher flow system to support more horsepower, what do I need to replace?
Well, that depends on what horsepower level you're going to go to. If you're running a 165 gallon per hour system, I mean, that's going to be good all the way up to 1,000 horsepower. But if you're going to go above that, what we would do, you just call into our technical service department, and they can get you set up with above the 165 gallon per hour. You're going to get a larger motor, a different gear, and different T-block assembly, and you can take it all the way up to 290 gallons per hour.
Convince me to go from 165 gallon per hour Air Dog to one of your best systems for a 2001 LB7 with 75 over injectors and a 48% over stock CP3.
I love it when I used to go out on the road and see my dealers. Now we have teams that do that. We have 4 teams, but I come across a dealer that was an Air Dog dealer, and I'd say, that's great. Take a look at what we have, and we compare them side by side in the trailer. And you know what? I don't think there was one that would not switch over. And I didn't have as much material as the filters, because back then, I didn't recommend our filters over anyone else's, but now no one can touch us on the water separation.
Right.
Okay? But for one, where we're different is that we're leading the industry. We're always improving. We're always self-evaluating what we can do better. And that's why we're number one, and we're getting ready to show you why we're number one. We're going to show you one item at a time why we are better. And there's probably about 8 of them. Okay? So let's go look.
Let's go.
Before we release the Signature Series, I wanted to make sure that we're going in the right direction for our 1,000,000 mile motor. Take a look at this as we walk by. The research and development trailer full of welding equipment, cutting, everything that we can go out in the field and do R&D with different equipment. But like I was saying, we have some systems in here that have been running over 20,000 hours, okay? Through all kinds of temperatures. I mean, it gets baking hot in here. There's a 1,100 gallon fuel tank outside at the end here. Common rail feeding all these units. We have 60 in here. Okay, then we have them returning back in that tank, so that's probably the cleanest fuel you can ever get. But what I wanted to do was make sure we was going in the right direction of getting over 1,000,000 miles, the quietest units and the longest living electric fuel pumps you could design, period. And look at this. Some of these have over 20,000 hours, okay? So you can do the math on that if you average 50 miles an hour or whatever you average, but they're still going. But this is the research and development that we put in behind the scenes to make sure that we're putting out a product that will outlast your truck. And that's what our goal was. Now semis, they can keep rebuilding those trucks and everything. That's why we have a 5-year limited warranty on them. But your pickup truck will outlast. A lot of equipment will outlast. But the thing is, we put out the highest quality product, period. No one can touch us there. Okay, right here, you can see these cutaways that we have at the shows. This is 1/2-inch plumbing, okay, with a 5/8 ball cut. The reason for the 5/8 ball cut is that, especially right here, it cuts down on noise. But when the fuel goes up through here to your engine, this is where virtually pure fuel is going. Up through here, we have a 5/8 ball cut, not a 1/2 inch, not a 1/2 inch straight cut. The problem with that is it cavitates. We had to go to a 5/8 ball cut to get rid of that. Now, if you look over here at the air dog, you see where the fuel is going up? It's going up and it hits into a T-bone. You can see it right here, this T-bone. That creates what they call a hydraulic eddy current. Travels over from there and now it runs into a 90-degree just cut. That's another eddy current. That can introduce air again. Then it goes out. That slows your flow rate down, also creates air, vapor, okay? Not as much as they're taking out. I don't want to lead there. Now down here, a couple things I can show you from right here. 1/2-inch plumbing again, up to the gear and exiting the gear. You can see our support for the gear, so we have 2 bearings and a bushing on the end to support that. That's one of the ways that we was able to quieten that motor down and get that motor over a 1,000,000-mile life. Rolling from that, from a 1,000,000-mile life, look at this. We used to use the Deutsch connectors that they still use. Those pins are worthless because they're inconsistent. They can cause high resistance, which causes heat. Heat is an enemy to electric motors. When you go with spade connectors like this, you drastically reduce that chance because you have a lot better connection. And then when you run 10-gauge wiring up to it, you also reduce heat and resistance. So that's where we're part of the recipe for the 1,000,000-mile motor. Now we have the Torx inside the motor, but you can see where they have the 3/8-inch plumbing, where we have 1/2-inch plumbing. It's a huge difference right there. And then with this fuel manifold, if I wanted to sit that motor down on top, I could cut $30 to $40 out of the retail price by doing that. When I used to own Fuel Preparator, which is now Fuel Preparator Air Dog, I had this piece in there. I didn't cheapen it up. I like the overkill, okay? That way you have the best product out there. But we still have this piece in there. Yes, it's a little bit more costly. It's a little bit more, time to put it together. But I think it's worth it when I'm giving you the best product you can get on the market. Josh, while you were running around getting things together, I covered some of this stuff.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk about filters here. Right off the bat, these are the competitors' filters. And
that's their water separator.
Yes, this is their water separator and this is their particulate filter. Now this is our particulate filter.
I'm trying to hold it up side by side so they can see.
Here's the particulate filter to particulate filter. Now let's do water separator to water separator. So right off the bat,
let's do suction side to suction side.
Okay.
Look at that. Okay. Where we're different is that all we're doing, we're getting out just the big pieces of gravel.
Right. Keep it out of the fast gear.
Right. Okay. But look at this. You can actually service this one.
And this is their water separator, which is on the suction side. And these are the pressure side filters. This is their particulate filter, and this is our extreme water separator.
That's their cellulose filter versus microglass.
Right, right. And one thing you'll notice right off the bat here is just the difference in size of the water separators, right? And what that is going to be contaminant holding capacity, and that's just visual. I mean, you can clearly see that with the naked eye.
But what's not visual here is that this is microglass. This is 4 times more efficient, 400% more efficient than cellulose. So what you would actually do to compare these, blow this up 4 times and to compare cellulose against cellulose.
Right, right. Now, another thing, okay, this is a coalescing style filter, water separator. And what that means, water is supposed to collect on the outside of this filter element because this element is treated, and it's supposed to allow water to collect on the outside and then gravity pull it down into the reservoir where you
And
can
drain
drain it. That's what it's supposed to do, right?
But the higher the flow, the less efficient that becomes, right?
Correct. As flow rates increase, coalescing style filters, the water separation efficiency drops drastically with those increased flow rates. This is rated around 60 gallons per hour. I believe 67 gallons per hour is what the filter manufacturer rates this at. Their smallest unit is 100 gallons per hour. So what that means is you're going to get very poor water separation. At 165 gallons per hour, this was only removing about 60% of the water that's in diesel
That
fuel.
was third-party testing.
Yes, through a third-party laboratory.
Yes.
And all these results are available on our website, so you can see them for yourselves. Let's go to our extreme water separator. This is not a coalescing style filter. Like Brad mentioned, it is a microglass element, but it has another layer in it, which will actually trap the water as it's passing through with the diesel fuel. It will allow the diesel fuel to pass, but it is extremely effective at trapping that water.
99.6% effective.
And that is through our third-party testing, which
On a
again,
165 gallon per hour system.
correct, on 165 gallon
And
per hour
these are
system.
rated up to 25 gallons per minute.
Yeah, per minute.
Yes.
Like I said, the third-party testing is verified over 99% water separation. Now, one thing this will not do, as it begins collecting water and reaching its maximum holding capacity,
Right.
it will shut off flow and not let any of that water go through to your injection system. And all you're going to have to do is clean out your fuel tank, make sure there's no more water in there, and throw a new set of filters on and some fresh diesel fuel. You're going to
That's
be good.
if you run into a horrible batch.
Yes.
This, if you just keep running it and running it and running it, it'll eventually, it just quits doing its job. It says, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
This
Right.
one will save your injection system to where if you ran it long enough and you went to that point that I've not even heard of,
Right.
if you went to that point, the worst case is you're going to, just like Josh said, replace the filter, replace your fuel, or put a couple filters on, filter it out, and you'll be good.
Right,
Unless
right.
you have 5 gallons of water in there, and you're off and running. With that one that played COVID hiatus, you're getting a tow, okay, and you're getting a new fuel injection system at $7,000, whatever it costs, and the downtime.
Right.
So this is a dam that's going to protect your fuel injection system.
Yeah, and when you're modifying the fuel system on your truck from a factory setup, if you were to put the competitor system on there, you're going to have worse water separation than the factory unit provided. Our system is going to be far superior to the factory filtration system. And why would you put on an aftermarket filtration system
To do a worse job.
provides worse filtration than the factory?
Good question. And you know what else? This also helps ensure the flow that we tell you that you're going to get.
Right.
Okay? With that, as it collects water, there's so much efficiency built into the microglass, and this is not cheap. Okay? This is not cheap. Here's another place that we're different. Come here, Jake. And Josh is involved in a lot of this. There's not a fuel system that leaves our place that is not tested. We test 100%. We have like 8 to 10 tests from assembling to flow, amps, the amp draw, noise, and everything right in here. There's not one fuel system that goes out without being tested.
Correct.
We don't spot check. 100% tested. Every one of these pumps right here, every one of these, wet tested. Wet tested, every one. All those boxes up here are full of motors, will be wet tested. Every one of them. Because my name's on it. That's where we're different. And that's where we kick their ass. Here's a huge area in getting into the Signature Series million-mile motor, okay? We tested, we found out what was causing the inconsistencies in our life of our motors in the past, our fuel systems, okay? Sometimes we have a lot of them are over-the-road drivers that go solid 700,000 miles. Some of them went in a million-mile range. We're like, where's this coming from? That Connex box that I just showed you, that was where we found this issue. Because we'd have wire harness all down, and Spencer noticed that some of them were hotter than the others. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he actually got a thermal imaging camera.
Yes.
When we were able to see the hot spots in the connector
Yes.
and exactly what the temperature was in that connector.
Well, here's what we found it to be. See this Deutsch connector right here? See those little pins?
And off the top of my head, I believe that's only
Kind of like
rated
Joe
for-
Biden's brain.
Yeah. Well, that would be non-existent, but there's some little pins in there.
No, he has to have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know what's interesting? I just had Josh go, he was running around getting his cardio workout. He just went and grabbed this harness from AirDog, and we've given them free advice. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's another Deutsch connector. They haven't gotten rid of it yet. Guys, that's free advice. Go to WeatherPack. We spent years of testing to make sure the moisture stay out
Right.
and everything. Now, here, this is a 14 gauge wire. They've at least gone to 12 gauge. We are at 10 gauge. Pick one of our wire harnesses up. You can feel the money.
Yep.
It's
not light.
That's what Josh works out with. He curls with
Just the harnesses. That's all it takes.
it. Okay? Look at this. Look at this right here. Look at these wires, the difference. That's money right there. That's quality. That's life. That's durability. That's dependability.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And one of the things that kills an electric motor is heat. WeatherPack, 10 gauge, reduces heat.
Right.
Okay? So that is part of the recipe, making these motors live.
And off the top of my head, now don't quote me on this,
Okay.
but I believe this connector is rated at 40 amps.
Okay.
And again, those Deutsch connectors are rated at like 13 amps.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you for that information. So the highest that we run our motors are we put a 30 amp
Maximum
fuse in.
of 30.
Right. And that's even our EM1002 motors, all the way up to 290 on the singles, up to 540 on the new competition series coming out. So that's where the differences are. If there's things that you can't really see, but you can if you know where to look and say, you know what? Wow.
Right. Right.
So, great question. Thank you for that. And if you do go with us, you'll be proud that you did.